Welcome back to SA Wine Weekly, and have we got an amazing show for you this week. We are at Pirramimma Wines. My lovely host Holly. Holly, are you here?
Thank you. I love being called lovely. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm not allowed to swear, so...
No. Thanks, Nathan.
Lovely you'll do. A wine lover.
Wine lover. And upgraded to...
Oh, hang on.
I'm host now. Look at that.
Huh? Not even All right, you're in charge.
I'm in charge. Check out
Funny about that. We better introduce our guests.
Oh, yeah.
We've got Geoff.
We do. And the lovely Louise. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Pleasure.
This is just such an awesome venue.
We're a bit excited, aren't we?
We are. I'm very excited. Especially because there's such rich history here. So does this date back to...
Are you going to start off on history?
Of course
So
I'm starting off on
get in
history.
cracking
Yeah,
the wine?
you crack
Alright.
the wine and I'm going to go the history.
All right, so you're actually going to do something.
Thanks, Nathan.
Yes.
So, does this date back to the 1800s? Is that right?
Well, the founders arrived in Australia in 1840,
1840.
when most of the founding families we came from Scotland,
Yeah?
arrived in Australia, and the rest is history from there.
Wow. And it was your grandfather, Alexander? Did I get his name?
No, he was born in Australia in 1868, I believe,
1868, yeah.
and the forefathers arrived in 1840, and then he purchased this property in 1892.
Wow. Rich history.
And unfortunately, I was about minus 20 years old when he died, in 1932, age 64. So
Yeah.
it was, I would love to have met him, but unfortunately I missed out on that.
Yeah. I guess he kind of lives on here.
Oh, he does, he
Yeah.
certainly does, and we certainly think about him regularly, so
Yeah.
it's part of the family tradition that we think of him, and fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And he was, did I read, there was 13 children, and
Yes.
he was one of 10, so he was the 10th child born.
No, he was one of 13.
One of, I got that wrong.
Right. We'll just pass
We'll
these...
go straight to the wine.
We'll pass these wines along because I think you're a bit nervous. You might need one.
Oh, thanks, Nathan.
No worries.
I'm
So
not nervous.
he was
Relax.
10th of 13.
10th of 13.
10th of 13.
Okay,
Let's pick up.
There we
pick-
go, let's pick up.
If we weren't live, we'd cut and start again, but we're live. So 10th of 13.
But I think you've got to remember, back in those days, not every child made it.
Oh, yeah.
And so, they obviously had no TVs either, so they entertained a lot, and obviously they had a lot of children, and hopefully most of them got through to adulthood, but obviously a few, unfortunately, were lost as babies, and that was part of the course in those days.
Yeah.
The history's amazing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And it's been in the family that whole time.
It is.
So
126 years.
128
Oh,
years.
128. Oh,
oh,
that's
yeah.
right.
I could have cut
I
that.
studied for 128 years.
128 years. Maybe it was written 2 years ago, the stuff you studied.
Maybe.
Could have been,
Could
could
have
have
been.
been.
We'll just go with that. So I'm right.
So let's go straight on to the wine.
Yep.
So what are we drinking?
We are drinking Chardonnay,
2017,
2017.
barrel fermented Chardonnay.
All right, for people who don't know, barrel fermented.
Yes.
Tell us about what the different, obviously it's barrel fermented, but why? What does it do to the taste? How does it change the taste?
Yeah. Well, I think
You talk about that, why?
I think Chardonnay as a variety is one of the most versatile white varieties in the world, because you can make sparkling wine, and I think it'd actually make very good sherry if it had the chance to go through the sherry process. But we haven't done that really, and it's one of the things I'd like to have a crack at before I retire, maybe. Is
Hang on. Is that a SA Wine Weekly first? Barrel fermented Chardonnay made into sherry.
Well, I mean, you can get Chardonnay very ripe,
Yeah.
and therefore you need about 14.5 to 15.5% alcohol for the sherry floor to grow on the surface and produce the floor character. But let's back to this wine particularly. McLaren Vale, I think, is an underrated variety, because I like to pick them. As I said, I spend most of my time in the vineyard during vintage, tasting the berries and finding when the right time is to pick it. And for the Chardonnay, I like to pick it just under 13 BOMA, probably about 12.8, something like that, because it's got those lovely peach and melon and almost passion fruit flavours.
Right,
So
stop.
that's what we're
Stop.
expected to taste.
Have a sniff, Holly, or a smell. I probably should say, not a sniff. Have a smell and tell me what the layman's getting from it.
Now that you've mentioned passion fruit,
Passion
that
fruit.
does come through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all into
Passion
grape.
fruit's kind of a very, like melony kind of flavours.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. Very. It smells quite light. It doesn't smell heavy.
That's the idea. And the alcohol on the wine would end up being probably about 13.5 to 13.7, because for every Beaumont of fermentation you get more than 1% alcohol in the final wine. So if you start off at 12.8, you end up at about 13.7, something like that. So what we like to do is we don't like to filter the wine. We like to settle it as on solids, as we call it, light solids. And then we rack the juice off the gross lees, which is the heavy lees on the bottom. And after probably cold settling for at least a week, and you just get those light that won't settle, and that forms lovely rich middle palate when you start fermenting in the barrel.
So a bit of love goes into it, doesn't it?
A lot of thought goes in.
A lot of thought, a lot of love, and a lot of time.
So much involved in the wine.
And so once we've actually just put in a fully air-conditioned barrel room for doing barrel ferment, so we can control the temperature, so we can start the yeast fermenting at the full sugar level, and then control the fermentation rate by the temperature of the cool room. And so once it's finished barrel fermenting, which can take a couple of weeks, we then like to leave it on yeast lees for at least 9 months to allow
Very
that
involved process.
complex character to develop in the barrel.
Oh.
And then probably around about October, November, we start to think about pulling it out of the barrel and cleaning it up and getting it up to bottling standard so we can put in the bottle.
So are we meant to taste similar flavours? So when we smell the passion fruit and the melon, is that kind of what you're aiming for?
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
the scent and the
Well, I
the
think
taste?
that's what people look for, a nice varietal character, and I think the older the Chardonnay vines have got, obviously the more punch, more flavour and depth of character that they produce.
Oh,
Punch.
use my word.
Oh.
Punch.
Holly,
See, Nathan?
maybe you weren't as silly as I thought.
And so we like to also, this wine will age in bottle for a number of years. Actually, I've started making a new style of Chardonnay for a European market, and I've got the first vintage still, which is 2016, and that's still developing very nicely. So if you do it right and you've got the right yeast and you've got the right juice and the right quality of fruit, you can make a very approachable, full-bodied Chardonnay from McLaren Vale.
You sound like you've done quite a bit of study. So if I'm correct, you studied at Cholster University?
Yeah, they let me in.
Yeah. And then you've been over to Europe as well.
I didn't study in Europe. When we finished our degree, our lecturers thought it'd be a good idea to finish off our studies by going on a organised trip through Europe into Germany and then down to Greece, because Greece has a very similar climate to Australia, and to appreciate what we've been learning and tasting as a student, to actually put that into place and see Portuguese Fortifieds and see Spanish sherries being made, and also into making Riesling on the Rhine and the Mosel, and then down to Greece to see their indigenous varieties that they've got down there, which are quite interesting.
So we're having a look at some of the vineyards now. I was blown away by the amount of different varieties of grapes that you actually grow on the property.
Yep,
How many was it in total?
about 14.
About 4, I thought it was 13. 14 different varieties. And obviously Chardonnay is one of them.
Yes.
What is something new that you're trying, experimenting with? Is there anything new?
Well, we're always experimenting with existing varieties on how we can get the most out of them, but
Is there a 15th variety coming? I'm just trying to extract the SA Wine Weekly first, that's all.
well, at my age, it takes 15 years to introduce any new variety,
Oh, you got plenty of time.
so I'll be in my 80s by the time
No.
that came through.
No, that's not true. So, Chardonnay. What do you reckon, Holly? Oh, I reckon you think it's all right because you've almost finished.
Delicious.
Louise, seeing you're the master chef out of all of us,
Yes.
what would we be pairing food wise with this delicious wine? I'd have to have a second glass because the first glass is almost
so
gone.
delicious.
I would think some chicken and
Chicken?
yeah.
What about the oysters?
Oh yes.
The oysters?
Oysters.
Holly actually loves oysters.
Yes.
So I think let's have a sample, you guys, and Holly's going to have an oyster because she loves oysters.
I love oysters.
And she's going to then tell us about the difference in the taste of the wine after she's had the oyster.
I'm going to use my fingers.
What about
get a
you?
little spoon, little fork there.
Yeah.
What about you, Geoff? What would, if you're at home and let's say it's a warm summer's day and you've cracked a bottle, what would you pair with food-wise? If Louise wasn't home to cook for you, what would you?
I like a salad. You know,
A salad?
yeah, a nice fresh salad.
It's what it feels. It's
with
like very
vinaigrette.
fresh, like fresh seafood salad, quite light.
Yeah,
All right, here we go.
Excellent.
I'm ready. I'm meant to slurp it.
Yeah, no, slurp it properly. We always like to talk about and people love it, and the food was something secondary we brought into the show, or not for me, thanks. I've got to keep talking. That's my excuse for not eating one. We talk about the food, and food's become a real big part of the show. The taste of the wine after you've had the food is something that people really tune in about.
I think it just complements the oyster.
Compliments it.
Yeah, it complements it. It's like it just kind of
It goes exceptionally
goes,
well with it.
yeah.
Yeah?
Like the taste doesn't really change.
The taste of the wine doesn't, the taste of the
No.
oyster doesn't change? Doesn't mask the taste of the oyster?
No, they just complement each other.
Okay. Louise, what else you got there?
Look, one thing I wanted to tell you about was the fact that on the property we have an almond called Johnston Prolific.
Oh,
You've got
So you've
an
grown-
almond
you-
named after you.
Yes,
wow.
yes.
Which, who is it
Definitely.
named after?
Jeffrey's grandfather.
Yeah?
Wow.
And-
so it's got a specific taste.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Ooh.
And it is very special. And I've got
So
some here.
And it goes well with the Chardonnay?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes.
So Johnson
salted?
Prolific Almonds
Yes.
with the
So,
Pirramimma
Yes.
And
2017 Chardonnay.
unfortunately, we
that?
don't have the original tree still. I don't think.
Oh yes, we do.
What we do?
Yeah.
Don't let
Over
fact
there.
get in the way of a good story. No, don't
Yes,
ever worry
yes,
about
yes.
that on this show.
We don't want the people coming in with their backhoe and digging it up and taking it.
Ah, fair enough.
it's delicious.
Thank you.
Do you
So-
roast them?
Yes, I certainly roast them. I make a dukkha, and we use the dukkha, and we make our own oil off the property with our olive trees. So therefore, it goes with the dukkha, and it is a fantastic combination.
Right, let's have a
Yeah,
sample.
I know.
You can see that.
The oil.
Yep.
Right.
So
What have
Fresh produce.
What have we got to put the oil in?
yes, and
So we've got our own olive oil. We've got
Yes.
our own almonds.
yes,
We've got a fantastic Chardonnay.
yes.
What
and,
more could you want?
Oysters.
Yes,
Delicious oysters.
and then I can tell you about blood oranges.
Oh, I didn't know we were going into gin.
Oh yeah.
That's
You
blood
put
to
blood
me.
orange with
Blood
gin,
orange.
don't you?
I just think of gin. So they grown here too.
Yes, very 100-year-old tree, and it is a fantastic tree, and it provides beautiful oranges. And then I make marmalade, and therefore
Is this the marmalade?
that is the marmalade, and that is
Blood
what
orange.
But not for sale.
No,
Oh,
not
so
for
it's
sale.
not for sale.
No,
just for,
not for sale.
Home consumption.
just you have
Home
to keep
consumption.
something
What
to
about for
yourself.
guests?
Oh yes.
Oh,
yeah, we-
they say Wine Weekly
Oh, yes.
guests.
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
Special treatment.
just like these.
Oh, so lemons from your garden? as
Oh
well?
yes. We use everything on the property as much as we can to be sustainable, And it is true, isn't it?
Now, I reckon I was reading, doing a little bit of homework, because Holly never does. I've always got to do
I
the history.
have done some homework.
Well, I actually cheated
Some
off your
facts.
notes anyway.
I know.
But your dad had to work a lot on the farm, didn't he?
Oh,
did.
did
And
he?
it wasn't just a winery. Digby back then, growing up, he had to work. They had what? Cattle? Sheep?
Yes, yes,
Grain.
Pigs?
Grain.
Yes.
Grain?
yep.
He had a whole list of chores he had to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. In between playing golf.
Oh yeah,
Of course,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Well, every Wednesday he was down to Kionga, wasn't he?
I don't mean every Wednesday, but he certainly was.
Well, they had a good story getting away with the facts.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday he was down. That's what the. That's
He
what
played
But he
golf.
was a fantastic.
he was a
fellow.
fantastic golfer, and I don't know where I heard this from. Well, I do. It came from Geoff, but the original golf course in the area used to be on the property.
Yes.
There is.
Really? Wow.
I wouldn't say useless. I would say interesting.
Interesting fact.
A
Definitely not
very
useless.
interesting fact that the original golf course in the area was on this property.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of original, you've got a tennis court, an old tennis
Yes,
court that I
yeah.
drove past as well. So that was here around the same time.
Oh yes. And
They used to cycle from Adelaide to play tennis on their push bikes.
they
on the
were
weekend.
Yes.
So they left on
exactly.
Thursdays.
Sounds like a very fit
Friday.
family.
They
Very,
pedalled very quickly.
They rode
active
quick.
family.
I think this Chardonnay was delicious. Louise, you got to drink yours, or we can tip it out. It doesn't either or. It's too good to tip out
know.
though, because we're going to have to
Way
move on
too
to
good to
wine two,
Tip out.
which is the Warhorse, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, how lucky
What a
are,
name.
How lucky are we?
Okay.
So where did the name come from?
Okay. I can tell you about Warhorse. My grandfather, George Price, went to the First World War. He never talked to me very much about the war, but one day he did show me his medals, and yeah, dear man, George, we have said, oh yeah, yeah, we have described our Warhorse as a tribute to dear George, and it's funny, you know, because there were Clydesdales here on the property working, and you can see.
Is that in the photo?
Yes, yes,
Well,
and yes.
we can see the people.
Yeah, we
can't
can see.
but- so
Yes.
the Clydesdales, obviously, back in the
Yeah,
day before there
very-
was tractors.
Yeah,
used to-
very important to our property, and very important to my grandfather George. So the fact that he went to war, did all this stuff, and then had to sadly shoot his horse in Palestine. This is what happened, but there's very much a parallel of what happened to him in my family and for Geoff's family, and the fact that we had Clydesdales on the property here, Dolly, Anchor, Millie, Minnie, and I can't think too many others, but we had about 9 or 10 going at any one time, working all the tractors and implements. That was fantastic. So there's a parallel between my family and Geoff's family.
I've got a quick question for you.
Yes, yes.
Did the sales of Warhorse Shiraz go up when Warhorse the movie
yeah.
was released?
Oh, I think so.
Oh, they
So a
skyrocketed,
stage
wouldn't they?
show as well.
Oh, I think
They would have
Stage
skyrocketed. Sally's asked us a question. We'll just get to her question quickly. She may have missed it, but no, she hasn't. But do you use biodynamic practices
Oh,
in
yes.
your vineyard?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Geoff?
Yes. What we tend to do is we're always battling to increase the carbon levels in our soils, because that's the basis of the soil biodynamics.
Yeah.
So what we try and do is we compost our grape mark with layer chicken manure during the vintage period. So we mix it as we produce it.
Yeah.
So when we've finished fermenting and pressed out the reds and the whites, we then cart the pumice up to the area where all the chook manure has been unloaded.
Yeah.
And then we wet it up and mix it together and let it start to use the nitrogen from the chicken manure to break down and compost the grape mark.
So the soil type here is very ironstone, limestone, and you've had to do a lot of work over the years to improve the soil quality,
Correct.
haven't you?
Yes.
Well, certainly our forefathers, they didn't have the benefit of what we know today, and certainly education in the wine industry has been paramount to our
Yeah.
growth and understanding of wine in a fast track method, so that all these things, as I said, all the 5% in growing grapes and making wine do add up at the end of the day.
And speaking of wine,
I know.
and speaking of the Warhorse, an absolutely delicious Shiraz. Tell me something about it. Tell me, like, what as you're drinking it, what do you think of it yourself?
Oh, I think it's quite spectacular, to tell you the truth.
Well,
So would this be one of your
So-
favourites?
so does every wine connoisseur in the world. I read all the reviews on it, and
Oh,
I couldn't find a bad one.
No,
I
that's
could not find a bad one.
No, well, as I said, during vintage, I spend my time in the vineyard, not necessarily in the on the winery, because I've got a winemaker who takes over the production of the wine.
Give him a shout out.
Mark Robertson recently,
Yeah.
and so
So you're spending it-
when I reckon the crop is ready for harvest, it's peaked out. There's some telltale signs I look for is that the vines, if you want to get the maximum flavour and tannin ripeness and tannin concentration, you really need to allow the vines to fully ripen the fruit, and that means they've got to continue to photosynthesise. It means that the vine keeps metabolising, and
Yeah,
when
you explain it because you lost
Such
something.
a process.
You lost-
so when the
Wow, it's
so when the vine
science.
stops, wants to shut down for autumn, then you start to get the porty flavours, and that's when you start making
That's when
the
the strong
fortified.
flavours come through.
That's where you make the fortified wines. And Shiraz is one of the varieties that handles stress in the vineyard better than probably Cabernet or some degree Petit Verdot as well. So
And do you know what I love about this wine too is the label.
The label.
The label.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, another question.
Oh.
Decant or not
Oh,
to
it's a
decant?
good question, Sal.
No, look, the wine is fresh. It is one of the issues. The reason for decanting normally is that the wine hasn't opened up as it has developed in the bottle. So one way of fast forwarding that is to put it through an aerator or
Yeah.
decant it.
So
and
what's the shelf life for this one?
oh, look, we're going to try one tonight, which is 18 years old, which is Petit Verdot, but not Shiraz. But we've got, I think, with the modern winemaking technology that we have today, we would normally say 7 years is where the majority of development of a McLaren Vale red wine happens. But with better pH control and understanding the nutrition in the vineyard, we're able to. I've got wines here that are north of 20 years old that are still fabulous, and
Correct.
and we're going to try an 18-year-old PV that you'll have a chance to purchase in the 6-pack at the end of the show. And
What?
I'll be
People who watch this show
purchasing that.
say that.
Well,
All right.
well, it's all education. This is all about
yeah.
understanding
I feel
what.
like I've learned a whole heap tonight.
Yeah.
So what are we kind of expected to in terms of the scent? What kind
Oh,
of
lovely
flavours are
ripe
we?
plums and
Ripe plums.
spice.
Yeah, I was going
Certainly
to say
some
spice.
spice.
Yeah, some
I know
spice there,
Shiraz
for
has
sure.
quite
And some nice,
spicy
nice
flavours.
American oak integrated together, so it
Yeah.
gives a lovely lifted.
Is there any French oak in this one?
No, it's all American.
All American.
All American, eh?
Yeah. And a little story about the oak, which I think will find interesting for your viewers, is that the oak age that the barrels are made for the French oak are normally around about 240 years old. And the forest that this oak comes from that makes this French oak Chardonnay is only the third harvest from Napoleonic days, because they used to use the trees for building battleships and all that sort of stuff. And then when it changed to making wine, the trees are 240 years old, and one tree produces about 4 barrels. So you can see it's amazing.
No wonder they're so expensive.
And it's all run by the French government primarily. And they have an interesting auction lot when you purchase if you're a barrel maker or a cooper, that the government set a price for an area of forest, and it might have a few beech trees, a few oak trees, and a few other species in there, and you have to buy the lot. And they start off with a price. They put a price on it, and then the first bidder gets the lot. So, say it's 100,000 euros.
Yeah.
And somebody puts their hand up at 98,000 euros, that lot's yours.
Wow.
They don't work up; they work down.
They work down.
And in America, the American oak is like a weed, and the trees for making primary quality oak barrels for wine making are somewhere between 140 and about 40 years old, depending on where they're grown. Because and if you've got some nice tight grain, frugal growing conditions where the trees grow, you get a lovely tight grain, fully flavoured oak stave, which they usually air dry them for 24 to 36 months, both French and American oak, and then the coopers rise them up to make the barrels that we pay big money for.
Hey,
So what do you think, Nathan?
I'm just learning so much.
I know, me too.
I've forgotten
I'm kind of in
about wine.
awe.
I'm always,
There's so much history.
I'm just all thinking about barrels and oak trees and Napoleon.
I know.
This Shiraz, I think I had a hole in my glass, or I just.
I know.
Jeff stole my
I
bigger
did
glass
exactly
that I
the
poured
same.
for
Oh,
myself.
who's that on the screen?
Oh, who's that naughty little boy
Snuck
on
in
the
there.
screen? So this is obviously the winery. This blew me away. The age of the fortified barrels. The steep history of Pirramimma is second to none.
You can't really describe it when you come
can't.
here.
It's almost eerie.
Yeah, but it's a good energy. I
Yeah,
think that's what I
well,
felt when
it's
I
not
walked
scary
in. It's
eerie,
it's
but-
just got so much history.
So we're
And
about the second
stories.
oldest family wine growing business in Australia, in McLaren Vale at the moment. And there's a connection between the oldest, which is Kay Brothers, by about 1 year, and Pirramimma is that Cud Kay was my father's best man at his wedding.
Right.
So
So there's a history there.
the beautiful families that used to run the wine business, McLaren Vale, many years ago, were very friendly, work together type people. And a lot of people said when Kay started picking grapes, everybody else started picking grapes because they thought he was the guru of picking grapes in McLaren Vale. So I look over the fence, so Cud started picking his Shiraz, we better get organised and pick ours.
So we better tell everybody where it is, because we want people to come and visit. We want people to come down and sample these amazing wines and, more importantly, buy some. So the location is obviously 130 Johnston Road. So
Yes.
seeing that you're the first ones here, they named the road after you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, well, you named your own road pretty much. And then obviously we've got the phone number. Ring up. Or do you have to ring up and book in for a tasting? at the moment?
No.
Just-
No,
You can
come
just
down.
Come down on a
Yeah.
and how are you open all week?
Yes, all week and all weekend as well. And if you want to come down with a group, we appreciate if you book ahead so that we've got enough staff to look after you when you come down.
Wow, look at
You probably have Louise.
Hello
looking
from
after you.
Texas, USA.
Michelle, staying up all night to watch,
I
or
know- yeah,
first thing in the
pretty
morning,
late.
you reckon?
Oh, good
Ooh, it'd be
question.
in the middle of the night, I reckon.
Oh yeah, it would be close
Excellent.
to like.
Hi,
10 a.m.
Michelle. Thanks very much. A friend of ours from Texas watching the show.
All right.
Yeah, just wanted to learn about the history. She's very jealous of where we live.
Of course.
I know,
Very
we have
jealous of where we
very
live.
nice wine.
Speaking of where we live, Louise,
Yes.
I need to talk about your art.
Okay.
I need to talk about the amazing painting that you donated to me for my living room
Okay.
behind us.
Yes.
Which is
For your living room.
Well, I'll hang that in
Pitch
the
that
museum
one.
as that.
I know, it's beautiful.
And it's of Southport. So
Yes, that's right.
tell us a little bit about your painting.
Okay. I went at age 19 to art school, and I actually wanted to be an interior designer, but I didn't do that. I went and did graphic design in North Adelaide. So, one thing led to another, to another, to another. I just went to fine arts, actually. And this is how the paintings that you can see around me have transpired, because I have done some for labels and...
Shh, I'm going to bring that up later.
Oh!
Don't tell everyone about that bit. So the whole winery is covered, and it's your art, isn't it?
Yes.
And I didn't actually believe you when I
it's
came
amazing.
here, and when you mentioned art, I went, oh, come on then, show me. And I was blown away. I was blown away.
But,
I actually really... And I'm not an
it's
art lover.
amazing.
Well,
I think you're becoming an art
Avril
lover.
may have twisted
She's
my arm and
yes.
shown me what it's about, but some of your art here, and it was very close to home for me as well.
Yes.
Being the first picture you showed me that you painted was pretty
Yes.
much my front doorstep,
Yes.
which was of Southport
That's right.
and of snakes, and we started
Yes.
talking about the local
Yeah.
area.
Any interesting food you'd pair with the Shiraz?
Well, now you mention
Oh.
it. Now you mention it, Luke. What are we pairing with this Shiraz, Louise?
Chicken.
Chicken?
Yes. With some orange marmalade.
Right. I think you girls should start dishing
put the
that up.
orange marmalade.
Oh, yes, yes.
With the chicken?
Yes, yes.
Sounds delicious. You know what I love is that your
My glass has
food
got a hole
looks
in
like a
it.
painting. Like you're
I
very
think
creative, not just
I think I do
not
do
on the
that.
canvas, but
I don't know that Geoff likes that so much, but it's what I just can't help myself in terms of dishing up. I just do
we just need some plates,
like
don't we?
Yeah,
I
dish it up.
do like making.
It's very presentable,
Oh, I know. We were just saying that. It's like a painting.
isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's just
That's
who
the
I
art
am.
background. That's the
The
art
art
background.
background.
It is.
All right. Well,
All
I'm
right.
pescatarian.
Okay, okay.
But it looks good.
What'd you say?
So I'm pescatarian.
I always think Presbyterian.
Pescatarian.
There you go. Geoff.
Nathan,
Presbyterian.
So,
You're funny.
Huh?
You're funny.
How nice is this wine?
Oh, it's so good.
How many years have we been making the Warhorse for?
Oh, not all that long, because
And did the grapes come from one specific part of the vineyard? Or are we taking the best quality grapes from Shiraz grapes from the vineyard? Are they all yours?
yeah, they're all out from
They're all your fruit?
yeah. But the secret of it is that after being here winemaking for 40 odd years, you get to know where your indicator blocks and where your best vineyard's going to come from, the fruit from your vineyards, to make the best wine. So you can fast track
Yeah.
once the indicator blocks get ripe for harvest, then everything else sort of falls in behind it, and so you know where to look next
Yeah.
to pick it. But this wine, it makes itself. When you got great fruit, great vineyard, as most winemakers say, the wine makes itself.
Yeah.
So it's an important.
This is for me.
That's what you get from experience.
All right.
There we
So,
go.
what have we got on? What have we got on here, Louise?
the blood orange is already on there.
That's already on there.
Yes, yes. And I marinated it for a day.
A day.
Yes, yes, yes.
So going back to Luke's question,
You can see
we would say that something really good to pair with a Warhorse is chicken marinated in blood orange for at least a
Orange.
day
With some marmalade.
with some marmalade.
yes.
So I'll taste it. Holly, you talk about the wine because you're obviously not going to eat the chicken because you love
I know.
birds. I'll have some and I'll let you
What
know.
would you eat for a pescatarian? This would go with like roast vegetables.
Ooh,
I
pumpkin.
would say pumpkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's quite a rich. It's not too rich, but it's
Oh.
a pitch of pumpkin.
Nice creamy,
potatoes.
Cauliflower.
Vegetarian gravy.
I really
Oh, yeah,
say,
creamy
you know
cauliflower.
what I'd say? Who cares? Eat some
Who
meat.
cares?
Eat some meat with some Shiraz.
Wonderful.
Mm.
So
smooth.
oh, the wine
Yeah.
is so smooth.
Yeah, not you.
Well, Well, I've never been called
Staring
that,
you
so I
tonight.
knew I thought you weren't talking about the chicken because you didn't taste it. So I would say,
Wow. So look at these old photos.
Yes.
Wow. And so you play piano as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I got a little demo. Nathan,
we-
are you jealous?
oh, definitely jealous. I'm jealous that I'm eating the chicken and you're not.
So you've got another property
Yep.
up here.
Yep. Yep.
So tell us a little bit about that. Can you book it for accommodation?
Yes.
Well, is there a bed and breakfast here?
Yeah, I got to go.
No,
You didn't.
No.
no, it's not a bed and breakfast.
I said I don't get breakfast.
It's just a.
Our family and friends basically live
Yes.
there.
Right.
Yes. For weddings and anniversaries and.
Kind of special
Yeah,
events.
special events. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
dining.
filmed the
Oh.
Rebecca Gibney there.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my.
That's right.
You just stole my question. I've been hanging out all night to bring that up. So
Wanted.
before
Yes. Wanted 3.
I was actually trying to steal it off Holly because I knew Holly had it on her notes. So wanted the Rebecca Gibney
And
TV show
yeah. Yeah.
was filmed in your
Homestead.
and it
in the
was
homestead.
it all went very well.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So you're superstars.
That must have been an experience.
It was an experience.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to watch it.
Yeah.
Like I've
On
been in a
Netflix.
famous,
It's on
famous
Netflix.
venue.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah.
And
Not that we're
it was
advertising
fantastic.
Netflix, but
It was.
is it on Channel 44?
Yeah. Just get it on Channel 4.
Well, it needs to be, doesn't it? We've got to move on to what I've been hanging out for.
Yeah.
Is I can't believe it. Thanks heaps too. 2002 Petit Verdot.
Oh yes.
Holly didn't even
Sorry.
know. Holly didn't even know what Petit Verdot was
I didn't. I've never
as a variety.
heard of it.
But Jeff.
I say
Jeff
Holly
can
didn't know.
tell
I didn't
you.
know either. But so we're actually going to have a pour of this and have a look at it as it
I'm
comes
really,
into
really
the
excited
glass.
to try this one. So
Yes,
this
yes.
has come from, the variety comes from,
Jesus, dark.
is it Bordeaux?
No.
Yes.
Oh, so were
What?
you one of the first to bring it
Yes.
to Australia?
No, not
Or to
quite.
South Australia?
Not quite right. There's when I said about my trip with our lecturers and things after we finished our course in 1983, we were fortunate to go to Mouton Rothschild in Bordeaux, and the old winemaker there called Raoul Blondin, he was being questioned a bit too deeply for his liking, and I thought, well, this could deteriorate unless I changed the subject. And I said to him, you've been growing grapes here for 500 years plus, and why
Holly.
Oh, thank you.
why do you persist with ones and twos and 3% of odd varieties like Camanier, Petit Verdot, Malbec? And he said straight away, the Petit Verdot makes a Grand Cru in the warm year in Bordeaux. And I said, well, where I come from in McLaren Vale, we'll have a Grand Cru year every year because we have the wet climate to grow these varieties. and when you go through and do your studies, what normally happens is a general rule. The late maturing varieties are more should be planted in warm growing areas, and the cooler growing areas should plant the early maturing varieties like Pinot Noir as a general rule. And when I planted Petit Verdot here, we got cuttings from. There was two clones of Petit Verdot in what we call the Department of Agriculture's wine library up at Nuriupta, and there was 2 clones of Petit Verdot in there that had 3 vines. So we got the cuttings off 3 vines of 1 clone, and we started to do a trial here. And
Now, were
The
you
rest is history.
Were you the first to do the trial? No.
I believe, well, there was a little bit planted in the Riverland, but nothing, I think,
Oh, in the
got into
Riverland?
bowl. Yeah.
Well, we might actually do a little bit of investigation about that because we're actually heading to the
to.
Riverland. So going back to the Petit Verdot, what do we look? I'm looking at it right now and thinking it's very, very dark.
Yeah, I mean, the variety actually holds its colour in the winery, and once you've bottled it and what have you, and if you put it in a blend, it certainly improves the colour of the blend. And I reckon that's probably what the Bordeaux chateaus find as well.
What do they blend it with?
Well, Cabernet
Yeah.
Franc, Merlot, and little bits and pieces of varieties up to about 5 or 6% of Petit Verdot. But now the weather has changed because of global warming. There are some 100% Bordeaux Petit Verdots being produced because we sell a lot of this wine into Germany,
Yeah.
and obviously the French
Right,
come across the
right.
border.
Stop for a second, because I actually heard that the number one German wine magazine wrote a little article about yourself and your Petit Verdot, and said, "Does anybody in the world make a better Petit Verdot than you?" And I didn't think so. That's a pretty good accolade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a pretty good accolade.
Oh, we've got a question.
Wow.
It's a good question, Luke. So, in your years in the industry, is there a particular year that stands out for the quality of the grapes or wine?
So yeah, what vintage was the best?
Oh, now that's
Well,
all-encompassing.
yeah, just make it up if you want. But
No,
out of the 40 years you've been making wines for,
I think every 10 years you probably get 1 or 2 years that are comparable to the previous.
What in the last decade? I'll actually ask a better question than Luke. What is your favourite wine from the 40 years that you've been making wine?
Oh,
The one I haven't produced yet.
Jeff.
That's not an answer. That's an easy cop out.
No, I think
I think most people say the one we're drinking, but
Yeah.
No, I think that Warhorse is pretty hard to beat. That's a 15 Warhorse vintage.
yeah, 2015 Warhorse.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Nice.
And obviously some Petit
Very
Verdots are very nice.
This
So
is,
there's a different wine for every occasion. So it's very hard for a winemaker to
Yeah.
stamp his authority.
I understand that.
Right,
Because
okay.
the consumer
You
is
can
the
say
one.
it's a shit question if you want. That's fine.
No, the consumer is the one that actually says
Oh, so it's what the person likes.
what the person likes.
That's what our whole show's about. It's not.
Sure is. Everyone's
It's
different.
what you like. And I'll tell you what,
Speaking of different, this is unlike anything I've had before.
Yeah.
Very dry is what I'm
Do you
picking
find
up.
dry?
Yeah,
I don't
afterward.
find it that dry.
Maybe it's because I
on
ate
the-
chicken, but
Oh.
maybe it's because I ate.
But this wine's 18 years old, so
18 years old.
so
Geez, your cellar's all right, doesn't it?
yeah.
So,
you'd
would
think
you decant to that?
well, it's not reductive, so you don't have to decant it. So
Reductive.
yeah.
Oh, it's a new term.
No, I'm just going to say it a couple of times so it sinks in because that's a really good word. What does it mean?
Reductive is where you have where the fruit of the wine is masked by a yeast character that hasn't been totally sorted out during barrel maturation. So
Right.
so when you've got that sorted out and you've got the lovely punchy fruit,
What?
then-
Punchy.
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 See, I know what I'm
I
talking
always give
about.
Polly grief about. She always says the wine's punchy.
Always.
or maybe it should be varietal fruit. Then.
Varietal. Okay, that's better.
So, what would you pair with this in terms of food, Louise?
Oh,
Lovely roast beef.
I would.
Roast beef.
Yes.
Roast beef.
Well,
So
you have
not
to
for
go-
me.
You have to go back to your pumpkins again.
Oh, so
Roast-
pumpkins. Yeah,
roast
I
pumpkin,
can picture that.
pumpkins.
Roast pumpkin.
So, alcoholic volume? Is that high?
It would be 14 and a half. I try and aim for the riper end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And there's a secret to making a good Petit Verdot, which I can share with you, is that when you
It's not classified though. We don't have to kill people if they learn it.
not quite.
No, right, okay.
They probably won't believe me. So
No, okay.
But when you think the fruit is ripe, it's one of those varieties that's well matched to our climate. It doesn't sort of scream up in Beaumay to overripe.
Okay.
It sits and sits and sits. So my normal general rule of picking it is when you think it's ripe, leave it another 2 weeks.
Did you get one of the best red wines? I think it was 2016. You won.
No, the 2013 Petit Verdot won the best red wine of the show.
2013. Oh, I got my date wrong.
There's, the Vienna Wine Show is the largest international wine show around the world.
It's like 13,000 entry, or close to 13,000 entries.
Yeah, about 13,000 from 42 different grape growing countries around the world. And I use it to benchmark our wine quality in an independent, totally blind tasting with no paper peelers that check out what the wine is they're tasting. They really do give the wine the full throttle. If the wine quality's there, they mark it up.
We actually know exactly what you're talking about. because
We do.
we've been behind the scenes at a wine show, and we actually know how wine shows work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this wine show, 12,865 wines were in this wine show, and you won best red wine of that wine show.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And
mate.
we've won the best Fortified with the last wine as well.
Oh, I was going to bring that up later.
Oh, sorry.
What an achievement. How did you feel hearing that?
Well, I mean, well, let's put it this way. It really does put McLaren Vale, South Australia, on the map.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it now for about 6 years. And we've won over 100 gold medals.
It's amazing.
And 3
You put in so
international
much hard
trophies.
work.
Yes.
They're like
Just
the,
listening to you.
they're
and
like the Michael
process.
Phelps of winemaking.
And
100 gold medals.
but I
Imagine
mean,
that.
but we're promoting McLaren Vale. We're promoting South Australia as a place to come and taste great wine, and inadvertently, Pirramimma gets a bit of a gong now and again as well. So, and the people know us, and the people look to you because they at the end of there's something like 1,500 odd individual producers that exhibit at the wine show, and only 100 get invited to the big 3,000 guest Interfold dinner. Well, not dinner, but a tasting at the end of the show when the trophies are handed out. So, but this year they didn't have any trophies because of coronavirus.
But next year you can take Holly and I with you, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Louise is stay home. And you can take Holly and I with you. And we can go behind the scenes.
I mean, that's the opportunity of having South Australian food.
So we've got to throw this special offer up there because I don't know how many you got them available. But Holly and I are going to get our piggy banks, empty them, and get as much as we can out and get our own. But so receive a 6-pack of tonight's featured wines, 2 of the 2017 barrel fermented Chardonnay, 2 of the 2015 Warhorse, which I know because I've been here and chatted with Louise
Yes.
that the Warhorse is worth $100 a bottle anyway on its own, and 2 of the 2002, so an 18-year-old wine.
The 2 of them. How good's that?
That is.
Yes. Pretty.
Well, I mean, it's an education.
Pretty good.
These programs are education. So, how many people have tried an 18-year-old wine? And I think that's part of what we have to do as winemakers to educate the viewing public to explore the flavours and develop an interest in wine for the future. So,
All right. We've got to hurry up because we're running over time. I think we could have had a 3-hour
we
show here
definitely
tonight.
could.
But I've seen this here. Louise, what happened to the picture of it?
Oh,
This bottle here, which
Yes.
is the 1996
I know.
Petit Verdot,
It's on the wall here.
and the label
Yes.
is actually
Yeah, one of mine.
one of your pictures.
Yes. It's on the wall here.
Oh, hang on, Darren Lewis.
Amazing.
The Warhorse is awesome.
Oh.
Darren's an old
Just
army
tried
mate
it.
of mine. He's the one who brought me here.
right.
So we can say thanks, Darren, for tonight's show, really, because he was the one who said, you've got to go there, you've got to do the show.
Oh, really?
But remember, he talked you up saying you were the
yes.
oldest winery in McLaren
Yes,
Vale, and he
yes.
would not take no for an answer.
I know.
So we've got to say, shout out
That's
to
all
Darren.
right.
Thanks very much, mate. You were wrong, as per usual. They're the second oldest
That's
winery.
a good question, Sal.
Okay.
So where can we buy your wines? I think I just spotted a sparkling red. Oh, so you do a sparkling red as well?
Yes.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Would you? Oh.
Where do you go?
Dan-
We'd probably have a decal for that, I reckon. Something that Adriana will quickly whip up onto the screen about where you go, socials or website or...
You can go Celador. You can go. Dan Murphy's has a range of our wines.
Dan Murphy's.
Can I say?
I'm pouring the
Oh, I'm excited for this one.
Digby...
Thank you.
Your
Okay.
dad.
Yeah.
All right.
Digby's... we're not allowed to call it port. We've got to call it Fortified.
No, we can't call it port.
Yeah,
But
and so Geoff, you got to talk this up.
Yeah.
You have to talk this up because this is amazing.
may I say?
Wow, what a deal from Michelle. Well, Michelle, I'm not sure we'll be able to export it to America, but tell you what, I'll buy some and I'll put it in my cellar, Michelle, for when you come over. When she comes over to Australia, because I keep
That'd
inviting
be-
her, and she can come down and check out Southport. Amazing picture that will be hanging in my hang that amazing picture that'll be hanging
Hanging in your living room.
in my living room, or maybe the office.
Oh, yeah, that would go nice in the office.
Michelle can come over. We'll keep her.
Oh,
We'll-
Sylvia.
well,
Will
Dan,
Dan Murphy's
honour
honour
that-
that special?
Of course they
No,
won't.
no.
Of course they won't.
No.
No.
Has to
Dan,
come.
you don't get specials at Dan Murphy's like you do at
Not with
SA
SA
Wine
Wine
Weekly.
Weekly.
Of course not.
No, it's unique.
No, but thanks for tuning in, Sylvia.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Sylvia. Great question,
Always
but no.
tunes in.
Now, if we back
Come
on
to the cellar door or email, phone. No one uses the phone anymore. Ring up. Ring
Yeah,
up and say,
yeah,
I was watching SA Wine Weekly. Maybe,
That's right.
maybe
That's
I saw
right.
it on Channel 44.
Yes, absolutely.
or email me direct
Or email direct.
to jeffj@pirramimma.com.au.
Oh, look at that. Geoff J. I don't mean Jeff J.
All in lowercase.
All lowercase. Right, who did that? Taylor. So it's all lowercase.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Taylor's shouting at us. She
Yeah.
left the capitals on.
Now back to this wine. This Digby Fortified is made in a Solero
Process.
technique or process started by my father in about 1965. So it's 55-year-old Solero, which basically means from that when we make a blend of this wine, we only bottle half of it, and then we make the volume up again with the best quality port that we've got in barrel. So over time, you've always got a very smidge of the original stuff that went in there, because you never bottle a whole lot. You only bottle half, and then you make the volume
Yes.
back up to, say if you've got 10,000 litres, you bottle 5,000 litres, then you used your best barrel
Goes on.
maturing port to
Yep.
then top the blend up.
Yep.
And that's called a Solero system, which they use in the sherry making as well. So this wine is just gets better and better with age, and as I said to you before, this beat the Portuguese in the Vienna Wine Show for the best fortified of the show,
Look at the colour.
and it's just won a gold medal.
That's good, Louise. The colour is
Fantastic.
absolutely
Really like
fantastic.
a
and it's just won a gold medal in
golden
Decanter
syrup,
magazine in
maple
London.
syrup.
Yes. Yes.
So it's won a gold medal
Gold
in
medal. I
Decanter,
can see why.
which is a
Even just
pretty
smelling it.
prestigious magazine in London, isn't
Yeah,
it?
got 96 points.
96 points.
Yeah,
So Dan Murphy's would be snapping that up. Anything over
yeah.
95,
Father's
Dan.
Day,
Yeah.
Christmas Day. You know,
It is Christmas Day, no glass.
It is. Oh, that's what I was about to say. Christmas Day, you can smell the pudding. Smells like a bit of pudding, custard.
So, what would you pair with it? So, my old man, he'd be watching too. He probably when it's on Channel 44 because he's technology simplified. But he would have a Turkish coffee with it.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I think a very nice coffee
That's
would
interesting.
brewed coffee.
Yeah.
What about this delicious dessert?
What do you
that
got
I have
there?
here? Well, yeah, you don't have
Louise
any.
is looking after you down
I'm
that
getting
end.
up. She sure is.
So I'm being looked after by Geoff down this
What
end.
do we
so-
have here, Louise?
Okay. We have a lemon sponge with some raspberries and
Show that puppy.
I would pair that with some of Geoff's beautiful
Digby Port?
yes,
Fortified?
I would.
Digby Fortified?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for it.
But the thing is that I also make a
Pirramimma pudding.
Pirramimma pudding.
Pirramimma pudding.
Yes, I do.
So that would work
That's
really
what that is.
well.
Oh, this is what I'm eating.
Because the wine tastes
Right.
like pudding.
That's what you're eating.
I'm going the cake and you're
Yeah,
going
you're
the pudding.
having the lemon.
You should have
Ready,
this.
Nathan?
Christmas Holly, you should have had this, really. But
So it's
keep talking because we're going to eat.
all the produce of the land that we use sustainably, and I mean that honestly. We have the blood oranges, the lemons, the
Almonds.
the olive oil that we produce off the property.
I would say, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say Pirramimma would be the place to be on Christmas Day. No, I'm just asking
So
what you're doing. You've
magical.
met my kids; they're pretty well behaved. What are you doing Christmas Day? I'm just inviting myself. No, actually,
You make me
Oh,
laugh.
Mark
No.
Curtis.
Mark Curtis. Hi, Geoff. Hi, Geoff. It doesn't really know how to
Oh, yeah,
spell.
Mark Curtis.
Must have had a few drinks. What varieties did you use for the Fortified? Don't tell him he's trying to copy it.
No, you'd never copy it because there could be some. I think majority would be Grenache. There could be some Pedro, Fortified Pedro in there, and there could be some Fortified Shiraz.
Yeah?
But
Could be, or there
it's
is.
done on style, not on varietal. It's one of the
Right.
wines that we make that it's the style rather than the variety.
Mark actually makes his dad, I'll just give you useless but interesting information. His dad made a port for when he was born. So he laid it down, first of all, when Mark's almost 40. Not sure if he's almost 40, but he's pretty close. And so it's been down for that long. And he's just put it into some Jack Daniels barrels that he's imported as well. Yeah, you know all about it. Yeah. So I think he was just trying to see if he can get some info to make his port a little bit better, catch up, and maybe win himself an award in the...
Oh, we got another question. Darren, how many bottles of
Digby?
did you produce each year?
That is a great
That's
question.
a really good question.
That's a good question. It is. Well, we actually limit what we produce based on what quantity of port we've got to support the wine we bottle. So it would be only a couple of thousand bottles a year.
Right. One less, Darren, because I drank yours. But we came here on a wine tour and he bought a bottle and I kept it. So,
Sylvia,
unlucky Darren.
would you call that more of a winter drink?
No, not necessarily.
In summer, you can put it in the fridge and chill it. Have it chilled.
What?
Would you put it? Could you put
You
it
could-
on ice? I feel like you could almost do that as well.
Put it on ice.
Put it on ice.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
Just.
But you could if you...
But if you got a nice
wanted.
brewed coffee, your special blend.
Would it make a nice nightcap?
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
Ooh.
You know what it
Hard
would
day in
make?
the office, and you have one of these as.
It would make an excellent accompaniment to this pudding on Christmas Day.
Want to give me a bite?
As long as it's not too hot.
You want some?
Yeah.
All right. I
Swap?
don't. No swaps. But...
It's a bit rich, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Oh, we've
It's
got another
delicious.
question.
What type of cake is that? I
Robert.
missed it.
It's a lemon
Thank you.
sponge
Lemon sponge
with some
Oh, you have to try
raspberries.
it.
Got some more.
with some raspberries. And
Very
the Christmas pudding with everything that you've grown on the property.
Yes.
The almonds, the
Yes.
blood orange,
Yes.
the lemon,
Darren, over ice cream.
all of the...
Oh,
Look, I use everything on the property as much as I can.
Can we pour this Digby port over ice cream?
Of course.
It'd have to be Golden North though, wouldn't it? It would have to be
Yes.
South Australia's
Yes.
own Golden
I
North.
reckon.
Oh, Geoff told me that when I was there the other day, but
But no, that would be great.
that would be great.
You could, hey, yeah, that would. Go
I think it would be good over the ice cream for the kids,
Oh,
get them
yeah.
to sleep. I'd like to stay here all night.
yeah, me too.
I'd
I've got
like
pudding.
I'd like
and
to come back next week as well.
Delicious.
I've learnt so much. I must say, this has been one of my favourite shows. I say that every week, but this is one of my favourite shows.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to.
I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
I think I could go to Cooper School now and make some barrels, and
Look, there's so much.
I'd go straight for the Napoleon batch.
There's so much we could
I'd bid
tell you.
first and get them. We could do a whole series, couldn't we?
Well, we have
It's an
bees.
interesting. I'll be.
Bees?
Yes.
Oh no, Dylan will be around. Don't tell him about the
your own
bees.
honey?
So, as an
Yes.
extra bonus, what have we got, Holly?
Oh, what have we got? A viewer discount price. So for our lucky viewers, receive a Digby Fortified Tawny for just $70.
That's a bargain.
That's such a bargain. So it is $100
Yes.
retail price.
Worth
Down
more.
to-
Worth
oh
more.
yeah.
Worth a lot more.
So do they have to mention SA Wine Weekly together?
Oh yep. So
Definitely.
mention SA Wine Weekly.
Yeah.
And yep, this could be yours.
Yeah.
If we haven't drunk it.
Email Geoff. Not in capitals. No, we just keep one of the girls who works for us. She pronounced Jeff Geoff, and she's never lived it down. So, and now she was shouting your email address out. She won't live that down either. So Jeff J at pirramimma.com.au.
Yep.
In
Lower
lowercase
capitals.
Taylor,
Yep.
or come down and visit.
Yeah.
Come down and visit in your SA Wine Weekly T-shirt if you purchase one. Oh no, we don't have any for sale yet. When we do, I'd like to. Oh, hang on. Nice work again, guys. Love your work.
Oh,
I think he's
thanks,
talking to you
Luke.
too. I think he's definitely talking to you two. Excellent show. Thanks very much for coming on.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
The Fortified to die for. The War Horse.
Everything.
Everything.
So good. From the almonds to the olive oil.
And I've got to mention the art. It's Avril's fault, but we've got to mention the art. Louise, the art is amazing. Come, even if you don't like wine, come down and check out the art. Have a chat to Louise. She's in the cellar door.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Loved the port when I was down there. That was my mate from Queensland. Great. Yeah.
Excellent.
He loved his port. Never got it delivered, but yeah. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for tuning in. So we've got Texas, Queensland, South Australia.
Oh, well done.
Oh, all over the world.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Some people from Melbourne watching on lockdown.
If we can help each other in this world,
Oh,
I
that's,
think that's
Couldn't
the
agree
best
more.
thing.
that's what we're all about. And
Yeah.
I would say, don't buy it online. Don't ring up. Come down. Meet the people behind the winery.
Yep.
Yeah. Come down. Harass Geoff. Harass Geoff for a taste of the dig beer. It's not usually on, but if you ask enough times like I did, you actually get a taste of it.
Yeah.
And buy the special if we don't buy them all ourselves.
Yeah.
The
Can't promise that.
2002, an 18-year-old wine included in it. You can't go wrong.
Oh.
Thanks very much for watching.
Thank
Well
you.
done. Well
Thanks for coming
done.
on the
Tune
show.
in next week, 8 o'clock. We've moved to 8 o'clock. All right, thanks very much, guys.
All right,
Muchly
thank you,
appreciated.
thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. See you next week, 8 o'clock live on Facebook, SA Wine Weekly. Holly, great job.
Oh, thanks,
Cheers.
Nathan.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.